So it doesn't seem that we've had a separation of church and state. No, really. And you know what? It's one thing to be, well, and it's, well, the worst church ever to be influencing anything. And it's, the, the seat of Satan, as I say. Yeah, the Vatican. They took my last video down, so this might confuse people. So they took it down. It's not like we live under this world of free speech. Because the powers and principalities, which is what I was talking about in my other video, how that's what controls all these weak people. See, what you really need as politicians, you need leadership that is truly, well, let's put it this way, non-denominational. I mean, Christian is best, like for sure Christian. But we allow, what? But it should be Christian, given our roots, and non-denominational. Okay? But people that are truly led by the Spirit, that know, that's the only thing that will be able to stand up against not being influenced by those powers and principalities. Because it's like I was saying in my last video that it's another realm, but we don't see it because of the sin of Adam and Eve. So Adam and Eve, so there's heaven. But then in between that, there's the it's like almost parallel to us, right? Like this, and we just can't see it. But Adam and Eve, before they sinned, they could see it, so they could see God, they could see the angels, okay? But then they sinned, then they were tempted, fell for the sin, and so that put the scales over their eyes. And all they could see is the physical. That's the reason why the rest of us just see the physical. But believe me, that's when the Bible talks about powers and principalities, that's what it's talking about. It's the invisible forces that get a hold of people. I've seen this too. I've wondered, being a psych nurse, there's times like, yeah, something is truly a mental thing. But there's other times it's like, no, something else has a hold of this person. It's, but, it's like, we don't talk about that. Like, that would be crazy. But you have to wonder sometimes. So, because it's those invisible, if you believe in the Bible, okay, then you shouldn't think it's crazy. I believe in the Bible. That's why I'm a psych nurse for 13 years. But I've seen it where it's like, no, there's something else. There's something else going on here. But that's what they do. They can attack weaknesses, and they can influence the mind. They can. Now, this world would say we're so expert in the science and all those industries that no, we know better than that. Yeah, but see, that's in the end what will make them stupid. It will. That's why, because they're limited. So anyway, I don't want to get off on that. I went way too far there. But Biden had 50% Catholics in his administration, and this is a big deal because they likely had control of the auto pen. Because unfortunately, the Vatican and where it's located in Washington, D.C., boy, they just have a lot of influence. I mean, talk about, and whoever is the archbishop at the Washington, D.C. archdiocese is always picked by the Pope. Yeah, it's by the Vatican. Like, it's very strict. The Archdiocese of Washington was created on July 22nd, 1939 by Pope Pius XII. He was the first leader. Initially, it included only the city of Washington. In 1947, it expanded to include 5 surrounding Maryland counties. Yeah. So let's just during President Obama's administration and Biden's administration, they both had secret meetings with the Archbishop and a bunch of Vatican officials. Secret meetings, which surprised me about Obama because he never claimed to be Catholic, but many of the Catholics that were in his administration, some of them I should say, went on into Biden's. Biden, we know, is Catholic. He's the second Catholic president. Yeah. So anyway, so it says here, the Archbishop of Washington, D.C. holds a unique position at the intersection of the Catholic Church and the U.S. Supreme Court, given the Archdiocese's proximity to the nation's capital and its symbolic prominence Historically, the Archdiocese has taken a proactive stance on landmark Supreme Court issues such as integrating Catholic schools before the Brown versus Board of Education decision. Washington archbishops have often advocated on issues before the court, sometimes filing amicus briefs through the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, which is headquartered in D.C. So does that seem at all like separation of church and state? Absolutely not. No. And of course it says, while there is no public record of direct, regular private meetings between the Archbishop and Supreme Court justices, the Archbishop's public positions and advocacy, especially on matters that are important to the church, have sway. Well, of course they would. Okay, so that's what I mean. This is ridiculous. So President Franklin D. Roosevelt encouraged the creation and the importance of a close relationship between the church and the federal government at the seat of national power. Yeah, so he was in. So it says here, prior to this, Washington was part of the Archdiocese of Baltimore. But the Vatican decided to establish, of course they did. I mean, the seat of Satan would, of course, do this. But the Vatican decided to establish a separate archdiocese to better serve the unique needs and influence of the capital region. Oh, yeah, okay. So, but no other presidents were having secret meetings. But both Biden and Obama did. So, yeah, not a lot of transparency there. And then you have, let's see, some of the people that were in Biden's cabinet. These were people that were carryovers. So in Joe Biden's administration, the Catholics making up the most part of any presidential administration in U.S. history were Lloyd Austin, Xavier Becerra, Tom Vilsack, Gina Raimondo, Marty Walsh, Dennis McDonough, Jennifer Granholm, and John Kerry. John Kerry, we all know, is a Catholic. He was in Skull and Bones. People know who he is. So, and he's been mentioned in regards to the auto pen. There's been a couple of these people that have been mentioned in regards to the auto pen. And see, some of these people that I just listed, they were in Obama's administration, and then went on to be in Biden's. So not all of them. We really don't know who had access to the pen, but it's usually somebody in the immediate cabinet. So Xavier Becerra, he was the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services and has been a controversial figure among some Catholic groups due to his support of his policy, all of his policies. But he's come out against there being a problem with the auto pen. Okay, yeah, well. Marty Walsh has been mentioned in discussions regarding the use of an auto pen for signing official documents, particularly in the context of President Biden's pardons. And people know what the auto pen is, right? It's very controversial. It replicates their signature. Gina Raimondo, this is her. She was involved in discussions about the use of auto pen for signing legislation, similar to other practices of other presidents. So these are people that were all Catholic. So what I'm saying is that, and believe me, before anybody says, "Oh, you're just showing a bias towards Catholics," don't even. No, I saw it. My first nursing job, I saw how people that claimed that they were Catholic, and I don't mean just coworkers. I'm talking about Jesuit nurses from Loyola, graduated, that were directors of nursing, that did the most loathsome things, but then hide behind their little cross, their big cross they wear, and even a nun. So you know what? I know how brutally dishonest the many sects of the Catholic religion is. As I've said, it is the false prophet, the seed of Satan. They probably had control of the auto pen.